State of emergency is a last resort activity to stop killing and restore order.
I want to draw your attention, Dr. Chang, to these words you uttered in the parliament earlier this month. Quote, a democratically elected government cannot be vetoed in carrying out executive action in the face of a crisis and should not be in a democratic society. It is inappropriate to block executive attempt in the interest of the people, end quote. Is this in any way a criticism of the court, which has ruled against the prolonged use of the states of public emergency to detain Jamaicans?
I don't direct it at the court specifically. This current structure of the need to declare a state of emergency requires the approval of the opposition. And that was introduced by a government led by the Jamaica Labour Party. But I think looking at the legislation is not appropriate because the executive, once you have a democratic society, you'll be subject to accountability in election. If you fail dramatically, you of course fail in the electoral system, and we have a lot of confidence in the electoral process. And where the elected government sees the need for that kind of activity, I think it should be allowed to proceed. And that's where I'm going. Of course, the court's opinion in this case is subject to other opinion, which will be going to the appeal court, because the court who ruled on the constitutional nature of the state of emergency was not in his remit. He has a right to do so as a judge, but the Supreme Court is this full court in that ought to rule on the constitutionality of something like the.
But won't your parliamentary majority at present help a lot, though, Dr. Chang?
There's still a place called the Senate, Damien.
Yes.
You have to still go to the Senate. We have a constitution done very well by our leaders, or the country's forefathers, and you ensure that you still have to have 2/3 majority in the Senate, which is fine. But I'm just saying there are certain things when you may limit the time which you have it for, you may limit the regulations by law, but you do have a situation where a country does move.
Is it that the government is holding off on declaring further SOEs pending the outcome of the appeal?
A short answer, yeah, because although it was not in front of the judge, he has made some comments. I would like to go to the Court of Appeal to get their call. We are confident we will be successful in dealing with it there. Of course, we may have to look at some of the regulations, which is a different issue as we proceed. But if it's absolutely necessary, we'll still consider doing it for the 14 days still available to us on the law. But
what do you regard as absolutely necessary?
Well, again, it goes back to the level of lawlessness and home taking place in the community. We have had gangs taking over communities, literally capturing them and murdering on people, and gangs burning down, running people out of their homes. When that happens, we have to look at the community seriously. Of course, you do the more strong policing before. Somewhere like Baritone, when the Ski Mask gang was active, at special deployment of JDF and policing there was able to take care of that gang. It doesn't happen in all of them. In the certain urban centers where they are more ingrained, you may have to go to a state of a public emergency. But so far, we have been able to handle most of the critical stations by improved deployment. You look at St. James, we had a rush in the early part of January. Since then, they have been pretty stable as the security forces have come together and re-strategize and redeploy their personnel across the parish. So we take those steps first. State of emergency is a last resort activity to stop killing and restore order.